In a bustling city where life moved at a relentless pace, a quiet street corner became the setting for an extraordinary story. Walks were crowded with people rushing to their destinations, and they buzzed with the sounds of cars honking, street vendors calling out, and distant conversations blending into a symphony of urban life. Among the chaos, a stray dog named Shadow roamed the street to a few locals for his gentle demeanor and eyes. Shadow had been a fixture of the neighborhood for years, often seen lying under a cafe awning or trailing behind the kind-hearted shopkeeper who occasionally fed him scraps. Despite his life on the streets, there was something almost about the way he carried himself, as though he ebb and flow of the human world around him. One crisp autumn morning, the sun shone brightly, casting long shadows on the pavement. The street was unusually busy, and amidst the crowd, a man in his late 40s walked hurriedly, clutching his chest. His face was pale, and beads of sweat trickled down his forehead. He had felt unwell all morning, but had dismissed it as stress from work. He was a man of routine, used to pushing through discomfort without complaint. As he crossed the street, his legs buckled. He collapsed to the ground, clutching his chest in agony. The world around him blurred, the cacophony of the street fading into a distant hum. People stopped. Some gasped. Others hesitated, unsure of what to do. Time seemed to stand still as the crowd formed a circle around the fallen man, their expressions a mixture of concern and confusion. From his usual spot near the cafe, Shadow had been watching the scene unfold. Without hesitation, he sprang into action, his paws moving swiftly across the pavement. The stray dog, often overlooked by passers-by, now became the center of attention. Shadow nudged the man gently with his nose, whining softly as if trying to wake him up. When the man didn't respond, Shadow began barking. Sharp, urgent sounds that pierced through the noise of the street. It was a call to action, a plea for help that couldn't be ignored. A young woman in the crowd, moved by the dog's determination, knelt beside the man and checked for a pulse. "He's having a heart attack," she shouted, pulling out her phone to call an ambulance. Shadow didn't leave the man's side. His body pressed protectively against him as if shielding him from the indifference of the crowd. Minutes felt like hours, but the ambulance finally arrived, its sirens cutting through the air. Paramedics rushed to the man's side, quickly assessing his condition and preparing him for transport. Shadow stepped back, but didn't stray far, his eyes fixed on the man as if silently willing him to fight. As the ambulance doors closed, a paramedic noticed the dog and smiled. "Looks like you had an angel watching over you," he said softly, addressing the unconscious man. The man woke up days later in a hospital bed, his chest heavy but his heart steady. The doctor explained that he'd suffered a major heart attack and was lucky to be alive. As he processed the news, he couldn't shake the memory of a pair of soft brown eyes staring at him as he lay on the pavement. News of the heroic stray dog spread quickly, and the local community rallied around Shadow. Videos of his actions went viral, and people came forward with donations to ensure he would never go hungry again. The man, now recovering, knew what he had to do. The day he was discharged from the hospital, he returned to the street where it all happened. Shadow was there, lying in his usual spot. When the man approached, the dog lifted his head, his tail wagging slightly as if recognizing the man he had saved. "You saved my life," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Let me give you a home." Shadow stood and walked to him, pressing his head against the man's leg. It was a silent agreement, a bond forged in the most unexpected of circumstances. From that day forward, Shadow no longer roamed the streets. He became the man's loyal companion, a living reminder that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Together, they became a symbol of hope in the neighborhood, a testament to the idea that even in the busiest and most indifferent of places, kindness and connection could flourish. Shadow's story was told and retold, inspiring others to see the strays around them not as nuisances, but as beings capable of extraordinary love and bravery.